You're not going to get angry at me for a second straight day, are you?
Well, it has been almost 5 years now. How did that Jonathan Tavares free agent plea work out for us again?
Oh, don't remind me about that one. Preds lose 3-2 to the Toronto Maple Leafs Sunday night inside Bridgestone Arena. They thought long and hard. I will give them credit for that. But in the end, with so few games left to go, they got zero zilch for it and they burned a game in hand on Winnipeg. With 10 games left to go now in the regular season, the Preds can see the end of the runway that they are approaching that normally they would use as a launching off point to the playoffs. But on this runway, the closer they get, they can see a brick wall that says dead end. The Preds and Leafs both play in the second half of back-to-back. The Preds, as we all know, got embarrassed Saturday afternoon at home to Seattle, and the Leafs having lost a much closer game Saturday night on the road in Carolina. And you'd think with the Leafs being the higher team in the standings, the more skilled team, that they would come out with more jump against a team like the Preds that are barely scraping by, barely able to see maybe they might make the playoffs. But no, it's the Preds that come out with the jump in this game because the Preds have 3 shots on goal in the first 3 minutes. The Preds have 8 shots on goal in the first 5 minutes. It takes until 5.5 minutes into the game for the Leafs to record their first shot on goal, and it's by a defenseman, Mark Giordano. Leafs backup Joseph Woll is definitely can be thanked for the reason the Leafs would end up going on to win this game. The halfway mark of the first period, the Leafs are waking up, getting more shots on goal. Then about 6.5 left to go in the first period. The Preds with their first great chance. Dante Fabro beats Woll, but he can't beat the post. Just under 3 minutes left to go in the first period. Mitch Marner is tripped down by Yakov Trenin. A questionable call, if you ask me and many Preds fans and even the Preds beat writers, so it wasn't just our bias shining through. Something that we'll get through later on in this game, the officiating. And of course, the Leafs skilled team, you can't keep them down for very long. They quickly pass it around, and guess what happens? Before long, the puck ends up on Jonathan Tavares' stick right in front, and he beats Lankinen, who is in net for this game since Saros played against Seattle and had a rough go of it. Toronto leads 1-0. As Jersey Guy pointed out in the intro to this video, if you all remember, for longtime viewers of my channel, I actually had a free agent plea video to try and convince Tavares to sign with Nashville. It didn't work, but it was worth a shot. As for the end of the first period in this game, Leafs with one last scramble to try and extend their lead, but Lankinen is down and out. Somehow, Ashton Reese for the Leafs is able to shoot it wide. Oh, the Preds are so lucky. And the Leafs are only up 1-0 after the first. In the second period, at the start of it, the Preds hope to pick up where they left off in the first period by generating a lot of shots, knowing that eventually something's going to beat Woll, right? Nope, Preds leave too much open ice. Tavares gets it in open ice to Kerfoot, who goes right in, beats Lankinen, and barely a minute into the second, the Leafs are already up 2-0. Tavares with 2 points in the game. Preds would earn themselves a power play, though, shortly after that, as Justin Hall gets called for high-sticking Philip Tomasino, and the Preds would get some good looks, some good zone time, but just can't beat Woll. And as for the Preds power play, as we all know who've watched this team loyally, they've been going through a bit of futility, and credit to Sportsnet Ontario for giving me this stat, even though that's pretty much the only thing I'd enjoy from their broadcast since I got stuck with them instead of watching Bally Sports South. The Preds coming into this game were a pathetic, measly 0 for 17 in our last, of course, 17 power plays. Not long after that power play had expired, Matt Duchene is forced to go to the Preds locker room in obvious pain in his hand. He would not return, having taken a Dante Fabro slap shot off of his hand. That's just what the Preds need with some measly chance of making the playoffs, is to lose another body. And that's the last thing Milwaukee needs, is for another call-up to happen. And then here is more of the parade to the penalty box with this officiating crew, because Mark Jakowski gets called for slashing Jake McCabe, and McCabe seemed barely fazed by it. I don't know what the refs caught that thought that it was a slashing call, but fortunately the Preds killed off the penalty. Preds would then get a power play of their own as Wayne Simmons gets called for goalie interference on Kevin Lankinen. And can I just use this as one example of how I hated putting up with the Leafs broadcast for this? Because color analyst Craig Simpson said that Wayne Simmons was trying to avoid contact. Really? If he was trying to avoid contact, he would have directed himself around the back of the net. He wasn't trying to avoid contact by slowing up. He was still skating into Kevin Lankinen's direction. Preds buzzing once again, showing that maybe they're getting closer and closer to cracking that shell in the moment, I thought, of their futile power play. But alas, Preds are up to 0 for 19 at that point, I think, with that penalty killed by the Leafs. Then Igor Afanasyev comes close to beating Joseph Woll and getting the Preds on the board, but he beats him, but he can't beat the post. Oh my God, the Preds with their luck with posts in this game. Under 2 minutes left to go, the Leafs catch a break. They have a 2-on-1. It's Austin Matthews. I'm thinking, oh no, Austin Matthews is going to end this game right here, right now. And then I see who he's with as he gets a puck over to Calle Jarnkrok and say, good, the former Pred who we got from Detroit and developed into the player he is now. Calle Jarnkrok is going to end this, and he takes a shot. Oh, but look and behold, Kevin Lankinen gets his glove on it, keeps it a 2-0 game. Oh, if the Preds had only come back, that would have been probably the save of the season, arguably. I wonder if after making that save, Kevin might have, ushered over Calle to whisper to him, I know you used to be a fan favorite around here for being such a hard worker, but I'm the fan favorite now, buddy. 2 minutes into the third period, Preds on the power play again as Philip Tomasino goes off for slashing Noel Acciari. Just after that penalty expires, though, Philip Tomasino, like he drank some energy juice in the penalty box, turns on the Jets. Colton Sissons joins him as Philip Tomasino gets into Colton Sissons, and he can't break Joseph Woll's shutout streak, but they draw a penalty. Again, the Preds cannot score on that drawn penalty. The Preds are doing the right things. They're drawing the penalties when they need to try and chip into the lead. But, again, can't score. I think that makes it 0 for 20 now. If only the Preds had all that firepower, that's sitting on the injured reserve list, and they'd probably be in a tie game right now, or maybe ahead. You gotta think with all those guys sitting out injured. Under 8 minutes, we fast forward here. Left to go in the game, and Jonathan Tavares, who had already got 2 points in this game, has to take an interference call. I will admit, even though I'm not a Leafs fan, or else Keith Sherwood would have probably had a breakaway for a chance to finally score. And the Preds go to the power play. Are they finally going to convert? Of course they do. They finally break through. Lucky 21, because not even 10 seconds into that power play, the puck comes to Tyson Barrie, who has to do all the hard work that Roman Josi once did. He gets a blast. Cody Glass gets a perfect tip on it. Beats Joseph Woll. The Leafs lead is now cut to 2-1. Unfortunately, though, about 2.5 minutes later, Cal Foote gets called for high-sticking Willie Nylander, and the Preds go back to the penalty kill. Questionable call once again, as any Preds fan or most of the Preds beat writers were saying the same thing, so I knew I wasn't being biased. But no, of course, Sportsnet Ontario says it was a completely legitimate call to make there. Of course they were. They are almost as bad as the Bruins are. You think the Bruins are bad? The Leafs are pretty much a close second from everything I've always seen during midweek games. And eventually, the Preds can't guard a puck. And with this Leafs team smelling blood in the water, eventually the puck winds up on who I hoped would have been a Pred. John Tavares gets his second goal of the game. Leafs lead this one 3-1. Preds would pull Kevin Lankinen with just under 2 minutes left. They've actually had a pretty good streak of actually getting tying goals with the goalie pulled. I have to give them credit for this, even though they're probably not going to make the playoffs this year. And Tyson Barrie does it himself this time from distance through a screen. He beats Joseph Woll. Preds cut the Leafs lead back down to 1. It's 3-2 Leafs. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, well, if it hadn't been for that shoddy penalty on Cal Foote, this would be a tie game right now. There's under a minute left to go now in regulation. I will give him credit for the hard work. Tommy Novak stops the Leafs from salting this game away with an empty netter. The Preds get one last rush to try and tie this game out, but it's all for naught. Time runs out. Leafs win this game 3-2. I applaud the boys for staying resilient and not going down without a fight. in this game, especially considering what happened Saturday versus Seattle, especially considering losing another body to the injured list in Matt Duchene. John Hydes reported post-game that Matt Duchene will be out week to week with an upper body injury. Really? We're going to do this again? Upper body injury? We know what it was. We could all see the replay. It was his hand. It was his hand because of Dante Fabro's slap shot. Just telling us it's his hand. Don't beat around the bush and say upper body, lower body injury, guys. Duchene joins the ever-growing Preds injury reserve list, which I apologize if I'm leaving everybody out. It's hard to keep track because it's ever-growing. Duchene is now sidelined with Ryan Johansson, Philip Forsberg, Juuso Parssinen, Roman Josi, Alexander Carrier, Mark Borieski. I think I got everybody on that shot. Now Milwaukee's going to have to lose somebody to the big club who I hope can make it back in time to help out the real team that has a chance at a title this season. Oh, and I wanted to mention something else about the going-ons at this game tonight that I don't really comment on road fans because they usually don't make Preds Twitter. But obviously these two things made Preds Twitter, so I think they need to be commented on. Did you hear about that picture? I thought this was pretty clear that no matter what sport or what city you go to, you don't sit on a team's statue commemorating a former player. I'm glad this idiot got told to get off of the statue, but like, come on, dude. I hope somebody recognizes you and embarrasses you next time they see you for doing that. Come on. You really want me to go to Legends Row, Leafs fan, in Toronto and treat your statues like that? No, of course not. So give your head a shake, whoever did that, and never come back to Nashville. And then I also heard that, what was it, during the second period, during the TV timeout, when they do the military salute, that the guy who was wearing a Preds hat, who was being honored in that moment, some Leafs fan came by and stole his hat, put a Leafs cap on him, and I'm a funny guy, went and ran off. Luckily, I heard the usher caught him and the guy got his Preds hat back. I don't know what ended up happening to that guy, but I would say this even if it was a stupid Preds fan who pulled a prank like this, or if a Leafs fan, or a Blackhawks fan, or a Red Wings fan, Canucks fan, whatever. I hope he was kicked out of the building. As for the remainder of the Preds week, they now go on a 2-game road trip against two very tough teams. Don't even make me think that they're going to win on Tuesday. They got embarrassed by the team they're playing on Tuesday, 5-0 in their own barn, and now you expect me to think that they're going to have a chance against Boston? Let's put that down as an L in regulation. And a team that they've struggled to barely ever beat in their building. They go into Pittsburgh on Thursday. Yay! Granlund, who's been struggling, so at least that trade looks half funny right now. Oh, watch Granlund get to maybe a hat trick. Well, if I jinx it, at least that improves the Preds' draft position, doesn't it? Then the Preds are back home against St. Louis for another matinee affair. Oh yeah, those will be fun. The Preds have really done really well in those matinee games this season when they really supposed to be good, but nope. They think that it's like day drinking, I guess, before they actually play at night. Guys, I'm hoping you only lose 2 of the 3 games this week, but I'm mentally preparing myself not to be completely disappointed and that you'll lose all 3. Maybe, just maybe, at this point with 10 games left to go in the season, the Preds have a better chance of falling into the bottom 10 with a chance at drafting Connor Bedard than they do somehow managing to get into a playoff spot. So that is it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. As always, click like if you like this video. Click subscribe if you really like it. You can find my social media by clicking on a channel name. Tell all your friends about Redemption. Really, Preds Nation, I don't know if I could ever root for a Leafs team ever to win a cup. Ever. Maybe against Anaheim or Chicago. Maybe.